Hey guys, Ricky Wysocki here, and I'm here to bring you my updated in the bag here in Texas. So let's get into it. No surprise here, but my go-to putter has been the Sense Dagger since I first joined the team. These things just have that nice consistent feel. Got nice, they're really stiff. I like a stiff putter. It gives me that nice consistent release when I'm putting. And so I've got the Sense gold stamp daggers in the bag. And then for my longer spin putts, I really decided to go with a little softer of a plastic. You know, if you have a fast green or something, you want a disc that's kind of gonna grip the ground and not skip or roll away. So I went with the Zero Medium Dagger for my nice long approach. You know, it's like a putt, but I'm like approaching at the same time and I really don't want it to roll. That's what I'm gonna go with, the little bit softer Zero Medium plastic. And now for my million harps that are in the bag. I got this many harps in the bag. But yeah, I love the Zero Hard Harp. That's one of my favorite discs. So the first two I've got are super beat up and they got the Huck Lab stamp on them. One of the first couple discs in my bag. So these things, I know these more than any disc in my bag. And like I said, they're like a hyzer flip harp. So that's why I have so many harps, because some of them are beat up, some of them are brand new. And some of them don't even really fly like harps, but they are harps. So Zero Hard Harp, got two super broken in ones. And then two hand-eye stamp ones. These are my overstable ones. I don't know, I like to put similar stamps for the certain slot of shot, because like the Huck Labs I know are gonna be understable for a harp, and the hand-eyes are gonna be overstable for a harp because they're brand new. And then the last two are total opposites, but the first one is my Moonshine Signature Series harp. This thing is super stiff. So when you get into the summer months, I'm excited to see how it's gonna feel. It's pretty stiff right now because it's cold out here in Texas, but once we get into the summer months out there in Emporia and in the Midwest, this thing's gonna feel amazing. It feels amazing all the time, but especially in the hot summer months when you need the plastic softens up a little bit and gives you that little extra grip. But this thing is my overstable backhand, strictly backhand approach. And then kind of similar to my Zero Medium Dagger, that was obviously for my putts that I wanted to kind of stick and not roll. I got that similar mindset when I used this Zero Medium Harp. This thing is soft, so it's got that little bit of grip in your hand, but also on the ground. So when you're throwing those shots into those fast greens, those sloping greens that you don't want to skip or roll, this Zero Medium plastic, I feel like grips the ground better and really is just like a lawn dart. It really just hits and sits wherever you throw it. So that's a very useful plastic.
So the Slammer, it doesn't fly as far as the Harp, but that's exactly what I designed it for. So it doesn't glide as much, which obviously means it doesn't go as far distance-wise, and it's a lot more overstable. So that's something to where it's a little bit different distance. So it's not that it's gonna take out the Harp. They're both gonna still be in the bag. So, you know, if I'm throwing a Harp maybe 200 to 250 or 275, let's say, I'm throwing the Slammer like 100 to 200 feet with real severe angles, a lot of flex shots and shots I really need to just kind of dump. I still wanted the Harp bottom feel, but I liked the top of the Slammer, how it had a thumb track and how that felt. So I kind of just said, hey, let's match those two. You know, the Harp bottom, Slammer top. So that's not exactly what happened, but I'm sure that's kind of what they took away from it when I was talking to the design team and telling them what I wanted. It doesn't matter your arm speed, your distance. It's not the type of disc that you should be expecting for it to go 300 feet. That's not what it's meant for. It was designed for me to be able to throw hard, throw consistent shots, and know that it's not going to just glide and sail past the basket. It's, hey, I can throw it as hard as I can and it's going to go 200 feet. I just think it's such a unique flight and a unique distance, and it's a unique spot in the bag. So that's why I think it's becoming so popular.
So now on to my last two putters that aren't harps. The Lucid Judge, it's got a nice die on it. This thing's also been in my bag for a couple months now, so it's seasoned and I can throw hyzer flips with it. It's funny because I definitely pay attention to the ground play of all my discs, and this Judge specifically, I think it's just a plastic, but it likes to slide. So if I have a low ceiling like tunnel shot that I need to throw a putter on, this thing I can land 30, 35 feet short. I know it's gonna get that like almost like 30 feet of skip, like slide, if it's got like a nice soft ground. So the ground play on this thing is pretty nice if you need like a low ceiling slide shot almost. So I think it's a plastic that does that. My final putter is my understable shield. It's a BT Hard Burst. and this thing is just super beat up. I actually got it from one of my buddies. It was sitting in his used bin, and I was like, I need a broken in putter because all my discs were brand new when I first joined the team, and I needed a broken in putter. So this has been my go-to, you know, understable hyzer flip or slow turn upshot putter. All right, now let's go to some mid-range action. I've always been a putter guy, so even when I should throw a mid-range, I just throw a putter harder. But sometimes you just need that mid-range. So I have a small stack of mid-ranges here. So let's go through and see what I got. So I've got 2 Lucid Verdicts. Actually, a fan of mine dyed it for me. So if you're seeing this, thanks for this disc. It's saving me a lot of strokes, getting me a lot of birdies. But this is a Lucid Verdict. It's a little bit broken in. I've really, you know, one of the new discs that since I've joined the team that I'm really liking. And it's got a little bit smaller rim. I've noticed that, as opposed to the Compass that I've thrown in years past. It's got that smaller rim. It's got a little bit of dome, I've noticed, and it gives that little bit overstable finish. And I'm naturally a flex thrower, so the Verdict just, it really fits my throw. It's like, it fits a lot of, it's good for a lot of flex shots that come back at the end, and you can really even trust it in headwind. So I think it's just the profile of the disc that handles the headwind and handles my flex shots really well. So I've got 2 of these. This one's broken in, and this one's a little bit newer of a one. But yeah, the Verdict's been a great disc for me. And the Compass. So I've got a gold line Compass. This thing is a lot straighter than the Verdict. I can throw it with hyzer and get it to pop up flat, and I can throw it straight and just kind of know it's gonna go straight and drift. But the Compass it just feels so good in the hand. It's got a little bit bigger of a rim than the Verdict does. So I'm still kind of throwing both of them for a little bit different shots. And yeah, I guess it's just gonna be a game time decision, you know, week in and week out to see which ones I'm really gonna be reaching for when it comes tournament time. My workhorse is here in Texas, and it's been windy, and in Vegas even as well, but the Lucid Justice, this thing has been awesome. I got 2 of them in the bag just for approaches. I like to keep multiple discs in my bag also that are obviously the same mold. When I'm out here practicing, you want to throw extra shots to really get that consistency, get that feel dialed in. So I've got 2 Lucid Justices, throwing these for sidearm. I love the Justice because you know exactly how far it's gonna go. If you throw it as hard as you can and you're in a field, you shoot a rangefinder to the max distance you throw, and you know, hey, my Justice goes X distance. I'm not gonna blow by the basket because it doesn't have that super glide, which is actually a good thing when you're trying to distance control your upshots. So that's why I love the Lucid Justice. So the first one is my Lucid-X Chameleon Felon. This thing is pop top, this thing is stiff, and this thing is overstable. So it's got all the flight characteristics I want for a super overstable fairway driver, both sidearm and backhand. It's not gonna glide as much as some of my other Felons that are in the bag. Like I said, I'm a natural flex thrower, so I like to throw these overstable Felons for that flex shot. And that's, you know, 80 or 90% of my releases are flexes. So that's why I really seem to really like this Lucid-X Chameleon Felon. Not to my favorite Felons of all, the Orbit Felon. This thing has been amazing. Ever since Dynamic came out with this and put my name on it, I really wasn't sure at first how I was gonna like it, but the plastic, the flight, everything is just amazing about it. I like that it has that little bit soft of a feel, not super stiff like the Lucid-X Chameleon is a little bit stiff, but this one's got that little bit more give. So I just feel like if I really need to throw a shot, maybe my game's a little off or my swing's a little off, I can really always count on this Orbit Felon to really give me that feel and give me that consistency back that I need and that confidence. It's gonna glide out a little bit more, a lot more than that Lucid-X Chameleon plastic. And like I said, it flies, you can really manipulate the angles on this thing. It's a Felon, but it does things that Felons really aren't supposed to do, and that's why I love it. So I've got this red one here. If you guys see me throwing this is a super beat up one. I haven't been able to throw them a ton lately just because it's been so windy, and these are a little bit more understable in the wind. So just anything, I can't really throw them into too stiff of headwinds. If it's a crosswind or if it's a tailwind, I can definitely reach for it. But if it's a headwind, it's not my go-to. But woods and any other scenarios, I'll throw this thing as much as I possibly can. Now I've got my Lucid Evaders, Signature Series disc, and these things have some pop top. They got some dome, and they've got some overstability to them. These things are awesome. They have, it's like a, I feel like it's like a Glidier Chameleon X Felon, but it's still got that nice, you can hit it straight, but get that finish at the end. So I like the Evader for the flat releases that are overstable. I like the feel of it. I like the rim. It just fits in my hand really well for a fairway driver. And I feel like definitely it's a type of disc where you keep it in your bag and you break it in to where you can have 2 or 3 of them in your bag, to where one you can hyzer flip and one you can have as an overstable slot. So that's why I got 2 in my bag. Still new and trying to break them in, but these things are meat hooks right off the get-go. Actually, I forgot. I've got 1 broken in Evader. Oh yeah, this one I missed this one. So I've got 3 in the bag, not 2. So this one, if you see me throwing this white fairway driver, that's also a Lucid Evader. And this thing's a hyzer flip now. This thing's got a little bit less dome, I've noticed that. So it's a little flatter than these new my new Signature Series. This yellow one and this custom stamp blue one that I've been throwing are a lot more pop top and they're a lot more overstable. And then this one's a lot flatter, and I noticed that I'm able to hyzer flip this one. Now let's get to my stack of distance drivers. Some of these I have multiple of that I don't throw a lot in tournaments. I more just throw them in practice to really get that extra rep on that hole, or that shot that I need to practice. But yeah, much like the putters, I've got a lot of enforcers, and then I sprinkle in a couple drivers here and there, but the enforcer is the meat of my distance driver lineup. I'll go with the first kind of off distance driver that I kind of recently added, was the VIPX Giant. So this is kind of a specialty disc. It's super stiff, super pop top. I noticed a lot of my super overstable discs that I really can count on to go straight and then just fade and hook up, super overstable finish. They have like super stiff flight plates and super domey. So the Lucid-X Chameleon Felon is similar to this, where it has super stiff plastic and super domey. I'm not really throwing this a bunch. I'm just starting to work it in the bag and just throw it in practice and then see if it maybe works into the tournament lineup. And then another disc that I've been liking is the Tournament X Adder. So this is very similar to the Giant and the Felon, where it has that stiff pop top and it really has the ability to fight a huge headwind. I mean, there's no amount of headwind that can stop this thing from going left, which is hard to find in a disc. So you gotta have that disc that always goes left no matter what, and that is my Tournament X Adder. Now we'll go to my stack O enforcers here. We got like, what do we got here? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. So we got 7 enforcers. We got 4 of them that are the Chameleon plastic. So Eric sent me, he's been sending me all kinds of care packages, but a lot of them have been including these amazing EMAC stamps. So shout out to EMAC for sending me the disc and putting his 6 stamp on here. I've been loving the Chameleon Enforcer for the ripping headwinds, the crosswinds where you can't really, it's hard to get a disc to go back left. This thing's overstable enough to where it can actually still work left because it's so overstable. And once again, I think it's because it's got that stiff flight plate on top, got that dome in the middle. I noticed the middle dome, for me, a lot of the discs with the middle dome are the most overstable discs in my bag. And so I'm really learning a lot, working with Dynamic and seeing all the different different ways they can make a disc, and that's always fun in disc golf. Just like anything, you always want to learn. But yeah, I've got 4 Chameleon Enforcers and all different stages of wear and tear. It's just for me, it fits so good in my hand. Everyone's got that one distance driver that just feels so good, and if you want to have a nice, confident, consistent shot, that's what you're going to reach for, and that's a Chameleon Enforcer for me. Now for my last 3 enforcers, I've got 2 Fuzion and 1 Lucid Moonshine. These are broken in, these are beat up, and like once again, I got them from my buddy. He had a couple broken in ones that were maybe he wasn't throwing anymore, so I wanted to have a couple that I could turn over and glide, because like I said, when I first got my bag and got all my discs, everything was overstable. So I needed these understable discs. These enforcers bomb. This one I think is actually 170. So I didn't talk too much about the weight because most of my discs are max weight, but there's definitely discs out there that I like that are lighter. It's not like I get attached to I have to be max weight. If it's 170, 172, I'll throw it. if it flies good, it's for me. That's my motto, no matter the weight. But now to the absolute farthest disc in my bag, the Lucid Ice Raider. I haven't been able to pull this thing out as much as I wanted because it's been so windy lately, but once I get to some semi-wooded courses or courses that don't have as much wind, I can throw this thing on hyzer, and it's like my distance contest disc, I guess, that I can throw in a tournament and trust it. So the Lucid Raider is definitely gonna supply me with max distance. I can throw it Annie. If it's got a tailwind, this thing, I can just throw it up in the air, and the wind in this disc is just gonna go for days. So it's a fun disc to throw. I wish I could throw it more if it wasn't so windy, but yeah, the Lucid Raider has been fun to throw, and I've been surprising myself at how far I can throw this thing. Then to my distance driver sidearm only disc. So I like to keep certain discs for only sidearm and only backhand. That way you know exactly how it's gonna fly every time. Because for me, I have a little bit different distance with my sidearm versus my backhand. It's almost like your right hand versus your left hand. Obviously you're gonna throw different with both sides. So I like to know exactly how it's gonna come out of my hand. So these are my Royal Rives, and these are for strictly sidearm shots, 400, 450, that kind of distance, max distance. I can flex it and I can hyzer it. So, and these can handle a headwind. I've been noticing that. I've been throwing them into headwinds, and they're holding up, and they're allowing me to really still get that distance even when there's wind fighting me. So Royal Rives, that's the last goodness in the bag.